And now, just saying actually you're not. Ornaments of Crazy Talk, Julian Costa.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. So I'll start by saying this is just kind of an introduction to a project I'm working on. So there should probably be one of those green screens here with the following preview has been approved for all audiences, or some audiences perhaps. So how many of you, while talking to someone, has gotten the response, just saying? Has that ever popped up after someone tells you something? Okay. I've heard it a couple of times, which kind of inspired this. Perhaps it was said to restructure an argument or to respond to someone else's dissatisfaction with an answer. Or perhaps it was meant to serve as sort of a hold harmless clause of sorts. Now, whatever the case may be, this pairing of words, and that's what I'll describe it as for this talk, actually lacks meaning and value to a conversation. Repeatedly, I've heard this pairing of words added to the end of sentences, and I can't help but wonder what purpose it actually serves. I would like to dissect this phrase a little bit and apply some general semantics concepts to help us see just what isn't being said. Perhaps the most recognizable quote from Alfred Korzybski is, "The map is not the territory." We often look at this phrase as part of introspection, so evaluating ourselves and how we view our own abilities and behaviors. And by following a statement with "just saying," to me, it almost seems like we're negatively appraising our interpersonal skills or drawing ourselves a very limited map. Now, the territory could be the subject of which some is just saying. However, by adding that to the end of a statement, it could show an ignorance to the subject that's being expressed. And moreover, it might even suggest a reluctance to probe deeper into a matter at hand. General semantics teaches us that one cannot say all there is to say about something. So one must ask the individual who is just saying if they've truly said all they can say about something. So to elaborate on what I said a minute ago, the question of whether or not they want to say all they can say about an issue is now posed. This phrase can often be interpreted as a stop signal for continued interaction on the subject at hand, and further, it can easily be perceived as defensive. At least that's how it's come across to me when I've listened to this. So just saying is not specific enough in terms of what the speaker wishes you to know. In the book People in Quandaries, Wendell Johnson discusses unobtainable or vaguely defined goals. When someone is just saying, are they attempting to persuade you to validate themselves? If I were to consider this pairing of words from the orientation of sort of goal-oriented communication, perhaps we can assert that the goal has to do with the dialogue itself rather than the content of what's being communicated. In 1976, Neil Postman published his book, Crazy Talk, Stupid Talk, in which he presented the classifications that make the title of the book. According to Postman, crazy talk is talk that may be entirely effective but has trivial purposes. When looking at just saying, it's grammatically sound and to most audiences a clear statement, but one must ask, why is it added? I'm tempted to ask the person who just said, why do you need to tell us that you've said something? I was here, I heard you. Postman defines stupid talk as talk that has a confused direction, is inappropriate in tone, or utilizes a vocabulary that's not well suited to its contexts. I have a hard time labeling just saying as stupid talk, following the way that Postman explains it and borrowing my own opinion of that pair of words, despite how unnecessary it may seem and how little purpose it serves to the message. Calling talk crazy or stupid is applying a label to what was said. And generally speaking, we apply labels and assessments to the words used by other people. But when thinking about just saying, to me, this could also serve as a criticism of one's own talking behavior, whether intentional or unintentional. So to wrap this up, as I said, I promised this would be short. The phrase just saying carries some comical irony in that the speaker asserts that they are saying something after they've said something. And it turns out that the phrase tells us nothing. The use of just saying does not contribute any information to a dialogue. However, it manages to communicate a bit more about the speaker than perhaps originally intended. I've labeled these just sayings as an ornament, in that it is often placed at the end of a message and serves no purpose other than to decorate what was said with an ignorant reminder that words, in fact, were said. Thank you.